Hey, what's going on, guys? Gamerdude back once again with another episode in our Just the Facts series. So, as always, I want to open this episode first of all by saying to my entire community and the entire world, I still really hope you're all keeping well and staying safe during this current pandemic. You know, we're all in this together as a species, and if we want it to go away, we must adhere to the guidelines the governments of the world have set out for us, or it's just not going to be going away anytime soon. And we're all going to be stuck inside with no new movies, no new video games, and, well, just nothing new in general. So please, stay safe, stay inside, and we can ride this out. I also do want to pass on my deepest condolences for anyone watching in the future who may have lost a loved one due to the C virus. I also want to apologise for not streaming lately. It's just I've still got an agonising toothache which I can't sort out until the dentists obviously reopen. Anyway, moving on to the episode at hand. We are back on that Spidey bandwagon. The infamous rumour mill surrounding the sequel to, in my opinion, the best superhero game of the decade, which of course is Marvel's Spider-Man. My research has once again taken me to the mythical lands of Reddit, where seemingly all video game leaks tend to end up eventually. Now, I will say before you all get your hopes up, don't expect this title to be for the PS4. This is due to the fact that even in full 4K resolution, the PS4 Pro had major difficulties running and dealing with the first Spider-Man game. And, you know, that was on a much smaller scale. You know, it had a smaller map and it had a limited set of missions. Because, as we know, they created the DLC, which I think originally was intended to be part of the actual game, but obviously the system wouldn't have been able to handle it, so they released it as a DLC. Now, because of what I've just said regarding the first game, Spider-Man 2 is supposed to include the entirety of New York and the surrounding areas, so it would stand to reason that this would indeed be a next-gen title, just so the system can actually handle what's going on in the world. So then, let's move on to what I found on Reddit, as it is actually supposed to be a creditable leak. We will then move on to what we actually know for sure and discuss a few little extra bits in between. So, the leak comes from a particular Reddit user who's got a couple of things right in the past, which is why people are saying it's somewhat creditable. He states that his contact within Insomniac just came away from a Zoom meeting where lots of intriguing details about the next installment of the Spider-Man franchise were discussed. There is a lot of information in this leak, from cutscene details to game physics, and if the rumour does actually turn out to be true, it is a very detailed account of what is to come. A lot of these rumours also build off a leak from last month. However, I do err on the side of caution at this point. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. The game was reportedly set to be revealed this summer, with a release schedule for holiday 2021. So obviously that would be well into the release of the next-gen systems. But due to the C virus, the reveal has been pushed back to late summer. Now, that I don't have a problem with, because if you think about it, everybody in that studio will be working from home now, and if they are indeed working on the sequel and ready to announce it, then, you know, they might as well wait until this pandemic's over with or past or calmed down, because there's just going to be no point revealing something when they can't even get into the studio to make it, because you can only do so much working from home. You know, you can't do the voiceover work, you can't do a lot of the graphical things, you can't do a lot of the story content, because there's just nobody else around you to talk about any changes that need to be made. But anyway, the supposed story details are as follows. Mary Jane and Peter Parker are back working at the Daily Bugle, which is great, because in the first game we saw Peter left the Daily Bugle due to the fact that he couldn't deal with Jameson's trashing on Spider-Man any longer. Peter basically refused to work for Jameson because he was trashing Spider-Man so much he just had enough. And then Peter went on to work for Dr. Otto Octavius. Jameson has also returned to the Daily Bugle as the head of it, so obviously he must have asked Robbie to step down, and he's now back in the driver's seat, so to speak. This is supposedly due to financial hardships with his podcast that we saw in the first game, which I have quite rightly adopted for this series, Just the Facts. J. Jonah Jameson and Eddie Brock will be characters Peter can interact with in person. So that would suggest that we've got some more Peter Parker gameplay, that we can go inside buildings as Peter Parker, maybe even free roam around the city as Peter Parker, do a quick change if we see a crime going on, you know, that sort of thing. Doc Connors is also brought up in a supposed interaction as well, so that's interesting. We could see the lizard. Of course, as you all know, we saw in the post-credit scene of the first game Harry Osborn in that tank with a botched attempt at bonding with the symbiote. So it's no surprise that the symbiote will play a large role within the next game. Peter will supposedly come across a blob of it in the street, and in this interaction the symbiote isn't Venom. It's kind of been described by the leaker's contact as proto-Venom, so it's kind of like a piece of the suit that's just sort of fallen off because it's not bonded with its host correctly. The events preceding this have Harry breaking free during Act 1. So we'll probably see a cut back to the first game where we saw that post-credit scene with Harry in the tank. It'll probably see him breaking out of that tank, Norman being like, "No, Harry, come back!" that sort of thing. Then maybe Norman will take on the Goblin Serum. I don't know. That's just me speculating at that point there. But in that same scene, the symbiote will bond to Peter Parker and leave Harry, which of course paves the way for Eddie Brock's Venom. Now, they're doing this a little bit late into Spider-Man's life. I mean, he's been Spider-Man for 8 years at this point, and he hasn't even come across Venom. Doc Ock's only just shown up, Green Goblin isn't a thing yet, and these villains were villains very early on in Spider-Man's career. So it's very odd that they would add them in 8 years later. You know, and obviously with the second game it's going to be longer than 8 years. It's probably going to be about 10 years. And of course with the emergence of Miles Morales as well, there's the chance that Peter Parker could very well die in this next game and pave the way for a new franchise with Miles Morales. Really hope that doesn't happen, but every time Miles shows up, Peter dies. So, yeah. Anywho. Also, in this particular story adaptation, Harry's disease is cured due to his bonding with the symbiote. It cured his disease, and it has now left him. But he is in a comatose state in the hospital. Sort of like what we saw in the animated Spider-Man series that was on Disney XD with Drake Bell voicing Spider-Man. Now, there will also be a couple of gameplay changes. Not that the gameplay in the first game wasn't brilliant, but this just puts the icing on the cake if this is creditable. There is to be 7 different types of weather in the game, including light snow, heavy snow, and light rain. I know I said 7, but I could only find 3, so I'm not sure if this one is actually creditable. But apparently snow can build up on your suit, and it also allows for realistic footprints from the player and surrounding NPCs. Now, snow is a good touch. I mean, we've seen snow in recent games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Days Gone, and it's really paved the way for other developers to want to put it into their games. Just because of it feels more realistic than just having a rainstorm in the game. It's nice to have a bit of snow every so often. There will be an increased number of smaller side quests and tasks called dynamic missions. These include grabbing a balloon, which of course is a throwback to the Spider-Man 2 game on the PS2. That was one of my favourite side missions, actually. It was very satisfying to just swing around and then suddenly hear, "My balloon!" And then you accidentally web it, and then you just hear some kid screaming and crying. I had a guilty pleasure of popping the kid's balloon, actually, and hearing that cry. I'm an awful person. I would suck as a superhero, okay? This will also include rescuing construction workers from buildings and scaffolding. They will then need to be brought to hospitals after being rescued. So that is another tie-in to the Spider-Man 2 game. It's also a tie-in to Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Whenever you saved an NPC, you had to take them to the hospital, which is more realistic than just dropping them on the ground near an ambulance. Because, you know, ambulances are so too conveniently placed in the first Spider-Man game. These missions, what they are aiming to do is highlight the sort of friendly neighborhood aspect of the Spider-Man character. As I was mentioning earlier, Peter Parker will supposedly be able to walk around New York. Snow can build up on his jacket, as it does with Spider-Man's suit. He will also feel cold, and you'll see his breath. The Statue of Liberty is a fully traversable location. So, like I said earlier, you know, this next game, it's going to include all of New York. The entirety of Manhattan, from New Jersey, Queens, Statue of Liberty, etc., etc. Not that you'd ever want to go to Jersey, but yeah, just saying. Of course, with the symbiote playing a part in this game, Spider-Man's an iconic black suit will make an appearance as well. They're supposedly adding the Raimi version of the black suit as well, as making their own sort of take on the black suit. So I wonder which suit it'll be. Will he be wearing the Insomniac suit as a Venom suit, or will he be wearing the classic suit as a Venom suit? Don't know yet. But each suit will also have a symbiote variant of itself, which can be switched on or off. Now that's really cool, because imagine if they re-add like the Ghost Spider, and you have a symbiote version of the Ghost Spider, or the Iron Spider armor. You know, you have a symbiote version of the Iron Spider armor. That would look dope. I would love to see that. But the black suit, as well as the advanced suit and all the other suits, they all have their own unique skill trees. So, unlike in the first game, you only had one specific skill tree to the character. Each suit now has its own unique sort of skill system, and it will probably have its own level up system as well. The advanced suit and the Raimi suit are going to be back in the game. Supposedly, the black suit doesn't try to copy any of the other Spider-Man suits, in particular Spider-Man Web of Shadows. But when the suit is equipped, certain elements of combat from the first game are removed to create a more fluidic sort of symbiote experience. Attacks will be much faster and dodges are less important, so basically meaning the black suit can take less damage. Multiple enemies can also be attacked at once with different abilities that you can add to the black suit. So again, this is kind of like a throwback to Spider-Man Web of Shadows. You know, you had the different skill set for the normal suit, and you had another skill set for the symbiote suit, and you could add all these different attacks to both variants of the suit. So that's kind of cool, you know, that they're still doing that. Mysterio apparently appears in this game, and a boss battle will take place on the Statue of Liberty. He will also make appearances in the game. Now, to me, it kind of sounds like they're trying to make this game a throwback to Spider-Man 2, because everything in this league so far, it just feels like I'm reading the bio to Spider-Man 2. Let me know what you guys think about that. There will be more side quests included, which will include iconic characters, including Daredevil and the Human Torch. The Human Torch's missions will have you racing against Johnny through the city. So that is a tie-in to the Ultimate Spider-Man game. So it really seems like they're going all out with this next Spider-Man game. They are really sort of taking elements from every single Spider-Man game ever imagined and just putting them into this one game, which again stands to reason that it would be a PS5 exclusive. Miles Morales would seem to be a playable character in the next game, and he also will have his own suits. So he will have different variants of the suits, which is amazing. Once again, there are 3 planned DLC packs like the first game, which will include Morbius the Vampire, Carnage, and Wraith. I don't remember the character of Wraith, so if you guys know who Wraith is, let me know in the comments below. But the point is, the fact that doing Morbius and Carnage is only a coincidence due to the fact that we've got Venom 2 coming out, which is going to involve Carnage, and we also have the Morbius movie coming out featuring Jared Leto. So, of course, as I've said multiple times before during these Just the Facts videos, I'm not one of those YouTubers that says, this is happening, this is coming, listen to me, I'm always right, blah, blah, blah. No. I'm just bringing you what we know, what we've heard, and what is out there at the minute. Some of this is creditable, some of it is BS, and some of it is actually from Insomniac themselves. But until Insomniac actually come out and announce Spider-Man 2, we can only assume that it isn't happening anytime soon due to the C virus, because, you know, nobody can work on it. But yeah, anyway guys, do let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you think it's inevitable that, you know, we are going to see it? Do you think it'll be announced this year? Do you think it will release next year? Or do you think we're going to be waiting quite a while because this whole thing with the C virus isn't going to calm down anytime soon? And basically, nobody's going to be able to go back to work for a long time due to social distancing measures being in place for a number of years or a number of months, whatever. But yeah, anyway, that is it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope I gave you an inside look into this potential sequel and what it will ensue. As I've said over the last few weeks, my content's going to be a little bit scarce because I still have an agonizing toothache. I mean, the same as last week with recording this, I've got a bunch of toothpaste at the side of my mouth just to numb the pain, and that is like literally the best cure that the dentist over the phone could advise for me. So it's really causing me so much pain that I don't want to start a live stream up, feel completely fine, and then 10 minutes later I have to end it because my mouth is in so much pain. But I'm going to try and keep bringing you the best content I can. You know, you guys seem to enjoy my Sims videos. You guys are still enjoying the Just the Facts videos. I'm working on a couple of other little projects, but you know, it's going to take me a little bit of time to sift through all the footage and get it done, because obviously with my toothache, you know, I'm not really making good time on the whole video creation thing, because I'm always getting up to bloody punch my mouth or put something in my mouth to, you know, try and make this go away. But anyway, yeah, shout out to all subscribers, old and new. I really can't thank you all enough for the continuous support and views of my content. I will continue to bring you the best content I can. And of course, if you are new to the channel and enjoyed this video or any of my other content, make sure you smash that like button and drop me a subscribe. I always sub back to new subscribers, and view any content you may be producing. So, that being said then, this has been Just the Facts with yours truly. Happy gaming, and I shall catch you all in the next one, guys.